Hello everybody and welcome to another primary school English lesson. Today we're gonna work on unit Could I borrow some money? And the topics are ordering in a restaurant, some and any, how much and how many, countable and uncountable nouns, and can and could for request. This is a lesson for English for secondary school. We are on week 3. And this is the content for lessons A and B. Our EVA goal is going to be 20 points. ETI goal, 75%. The values we work on are self-concept and responsibility. And our aim is that you will be able to order a meal in a restaurant using how much, how many, some, and any. Thank you very much for being here with us. Here we go. Before we start with the lesson, it's very important to know, hello, how you doing? Are you okay? Are you having a great time? So, are you having fun? It's very important to be okay, and we care about you, so we want you to be okay. In order to have a good start with this lesson, it is important to know what the difference is between countable and uncountable nouns. So, the question is, what are countable and uncountable nouns? I'm pretty sure you know the answer. Let's gonna put it clear here. Let's start with countable nouns. Countable nouns are individual people, animals, places, things, or ideas which can be counted. Okay? Do you have any idea about any nouns that can be counted? People, yes, you can count one person, 2 people, 3 people, 7 people. You can count people, yes. Cars, of course, you can say 1 car, 2 cars, 4 cars, etc. And what else? One more. Oh yes, of course, talking about, for instance, apples. 1 apple, 2 apples, 4 apples, etc. Yes, these are very good examples of countable nouns. Now let us talk about uncountable nouns. Uncountable nouns are not individual objects, so they cannot be counted. So, what nouns do you know that are impossible to count, are not able to be counted? Water, of course, you cannot say 1 water, 2 water, right? It's not countable. Rice, it's impossible to count rice. You don't say 1 rice, 2 rices, 3 rices. It's impossible. You don't count rice. Sugar, of course, you cannot count sugar. Okay, so these are uncountable nouns. Okay, of course that you can count them if you talk about, measuring. That's counting. For instance, you can say 2 glasses of water. You can say 2 spoons of rice. You can say 3 spoons of sugar. You can count them, but not by per se. You can count water, rice, or sugar, and some other examples. Okay, these are just examples. There are so much about uncountable nouns. If you want to have more information, for instance, talking about food or some other things around in your everyday life, you can take a look at the internet for having some resources and to see what are countables and what are uncountables. Okay, so you can work on that anytime you want. Now let us talk about some or any. Okay, so when do we use some? When do we use any? Let's talk about some first, okay? So, you're gonna use some with plural countable nouns. We can either give the quantity in these cases. For instance, you can say 5 people, or we can use some if we don't know the exact quantity. For instance, some people, okay? Also, you can work with some with uncountable nouns, okay? So, these are some examples where you can use them. Let's gonna have some examples. There are some cats outside. Some students are working in the classroom. Can I have some coffee, please? So these are good examples of the use of some. Some cats is countable, so that's why it is in plural. Some students is countable, so that's why it's in plural. Some coffee. Coffee is uncountable, so that's why it's singular, because it's uncountable noun, so you say some coffee, okay? Very good. These are the examples of using some in sentences talking about countable and uncountable nouns. So now that we know the difference between countable and uncountable, we also may know the difference between the use of questions how many and how much. I am pretty sure you know the answer about the difference, and I'm gonna give it to you now. How many? You ask questions about countable nouns. How much? You ask questions about uncountable nouns. I'm gonna give you some examples for questions with how many. How many students are there in your class? How many notebooks do you have? How many glasses of water do you drink every day? As you have seen, these are countable nouns. Students is in plural. Notebooks is in plural. Glasses of water, talking about glasses, is in plural. Yes, water is uncountable, but glasses is countable. Let's gonna talk about uncountable nouns. I'm gonna give you two examples. How much Coke do you drink on weekends? How much sugar does he like in his coffee? Very good. So, these are examples of this kind of countable and uncountable questions. The answers are pretty easy. Actually, affirmative or negative sentences depending on the case. Let's take a look for some examples. How many students are there in your class? Your answer will be similar like this. There are 25 students. Yes, you have an answer similar to this one, actually. How many notebooks do you have? You can say a number. I have 7 notebooks. Very good. How many glasses of water do you drink every day? I hope that you drink the traditional amount, 8 glasses of water every day. Very good. Let's take a look about how do you answer to uncountable nouns questions. How much Coke do you drink on weekends? Let us suppose you never drink Coke. That would be good. And then you can answer with a negative sentence, like this one. I don't drink any Coke on weekends. Remember that any, you use any, when we talk about negative sentences, like this one. And the last one, how much sugar does he like in his coffee? So we're going to talk about, of course, sugar is uncountable, but now we need to count it in order to answer to the question. And then you may answer, for instance, he likes 2 spoons of sugar. So these are actually examples about how you use how many and how much in interrogative sentences. Now that we know the use of countable and uncountable nouns and we are talking about vocabulary for a restaurant, maybe we can do this exercise. What toppings can you have on a pizza? I encourage you to do this exercise in your notebook. The first thing you're going to do is to make a list. Let's make a list about toppings that you can use on a pizza. You can have them on a pizza. You can work with the list now. You can take a time. You can pause this presentation. You can do the list in your notebook. And the second one is going to be compare with the menu. I'm going to give you a menu, and then you compare what topics you have and what topics you are missing. Give you the time now. Maybe you can pause this presentation and write the topics in your notebook, the toppings. So, You already got the time for writing the toppings. Now I'm going to show you for exercise 2 some toppings that you may have on a pizza. Let's take a look at the toppings we are having here. Cheese, tomatoes, olives, garlic, ham, pineapple, mushrooms, spinach, a fried egg, and some garlic bread. Well, actually, this is not for the pizza. This is an extra, okay? But so these are toppings that you can put on a pizza. Very interesting and delicious. Is your list similar to the toppings we are having here? Is there any topping you didn't write? Are there any toppings you wrote in your notebook and are not in the menu? It's a very interesting exercise to work on. Well, now let's gonna talk about the homework. You're gonna write 10 sentences using countable and uncountable nouns, okay? You can write about anything you want using countable and uncountable nouns per sentence. And talking about the primer challenge, I'm pretty sure you're gonna work on this. You're gonna write your ideal restaurant menu and exchange menus with other students. If you need some review, we're gonna have some reviews about countable and uncountables and also the questions through this link that we are having here. Well, one more time, thank you very much for being here with us. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. It was another Grammar School English lesson. Thank you so much and hope to see you next time. Take care. See you soon.